the deal that we have going is under contract. Everything is moving along in a timely fashion. And whether this goes through where we're at right now, we have a backup offer, and so there's no question this will be the last year. No, it doesn't. Well, it's not right. It doesn't feel right. But the issue is there's always a time for things to change, and this particular location, a lot of people don't realize we only have usable acres, about 100 acres. And most facilities need about 350 acres. Consequently, we haven't got any room for parking. And so our neighbors, who we use their lots and so on for parking, we've been renting that. They're under contract to sell also, because there's development happening in the valley. And so when that happens, you'd rather be proactive than be reactive, and that's what we're doing. Yes, I have 2 locations in mind. They're both very, very good, and they'll both work very well, but we're not going to go into that until we know that this deal is completely done.
What do you feel is the hardest part about this decision to deal?
Hardest part of this whole decision has been just the fact that we have, first of all, a family, because they're all involved. We're involved in the sport, not just in drag racing, but we build equipment for almost every racetrack in the country. But not only that, but I think the hard part is our racing family that we've developed here and built over the years. That's why we're successful, is because we care about relationships. Relationships are everything. It all starts with the relationship to God, and then you build that relationship from there into your staff and into your family of racers. And that's really what's hard, is that they all are kind of concerned about what's happening. Are we going to do something again? And the answer is, God willing, we will.
Do you realize how much impact you've had on racers around the country for 65 years? Is that something in of how important you are to from juniors to the pros? Has that sunk in yet? And if so, what's that like?
Well, there's no question that when you come to Bandimere Speedway on the mountain, the racers will tell you that there's something different. It's a different place. And there's a different place because it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to God. And when you have something that's His, and you have the opportunity to just be able to work for Him, it makes it to where this whole thing really works. And so that's the impact that we have on the racers. I mean, John Force, when he was first racing, guys, he lived in my basement when he was racing. He couldn't afford a hotel. But that's been way back, years ago. So the relationship we have with the racers, it really is important.
You know, I've been on fire quite a few times here, blowed up a lot of bodies, and sometimes you go like, why did we even come up here? Because you leave with less points than you started with, you know, and it's always, challenging on the mountain, to say the least. But what an emotional weekend this is going to be. I mean, for all the history and all the years we've been up here and all the stuff we've done and the relationship with Dodge and Mopar and SRT and everything that they put into keeping this place up and going, and and just the memories that have been made here is just unbelievable. And you're on the plane and you're flying here and you're thinking about all the stuff that's happened and all the times that you've been going rounds and what your crew guys and just the memories made and stuff like that. It's just going to be a real emotional weekend. I mean, there's no way around it, and to think that this is going to be the last time here, and it's so special because Dodge has always made it so special. They've invested a lot of money here. They've always had branding here. We're always here a week early. We're always, coming out and doing stuff with the media and different things like that. So it's always been a big deal to be here, so we need to finish strong on a strong note. And our funny car here with TSR, what we can do and what we're capable of doing is definitely turning on 4 win lights on Sunday and leaving with that trophy. There's not a doubt in my mind that we can't go out there and get that done. So
absolutely, it's taken the majority of my life, and this mountain has molded me. The Bandimere family has molded me, and as I've reflected within the last month about coming to this race and what this racetrack means to me, I really have 2 words for it. It's stability and opportunity. So stability in the standpoint, when you're racing as a junior, you work really hard to represent a team to be able to make it. You have to qualify to race on this mountain. And then you have to race the entire nation. There's not 22 national events, there's 1. And the Bandimere family treated our one national event just like an NHRA world-class top of the line event, and that's what I felt as a kid at 8 years old. And that first Wally that I won, I didn't win my actual race. I went really far in my eliminations, but my team, they did really well, and we garnished the most number of points to beat every other track in the entire nation. And that instilled in me what it meant to be a team member. And as you go through now 27 years later of NHRA drag racing, what we do is most definitely a team sport. And that, for me, that started at that moment. And when John had mentioned all of those girls being here, that was my last year racing juniors, and we compiled an all-girl race team so that we could be the first to do that. And we then won that whole championship as the entire nation, and we were all females, and that was an incredible memory. But for me, there's lots to go through, lots of stories. I've never had a wheelie at half track before, only at this track, and that's an experience that you learn as a driver and you tune for. But the way that the family has always treated me has been like no other. The experiences around the track, but there's something about being carved into a mountain, which means you carve yourself into the community. And with me racing here for so many years, it's been a milestone. So when I say stability, a lot of it has to do with where we are in the season. We're at the midway point in the season. Well, that means that you're racing full time for a team. For me, that means stability as somebody that's been coming through the ranks. That means where are you at in your championship standings? We're third, we've gotten momentum. Stability, 65 years of Bandimere Speedway, of generations, making sure that they have provided not only us racers a great racetrack to race on, but the fan experience. So in between me racing a junior and winning Top Fuel, I was a fan that came here. My first time coming here, I was sitting in those grandstands watching the nitro cars. Yeah, they don't have backs on them. That's not what I thought of. I thought of how steep they are and how cool it is, and I felt like I was sitting inside the race car watching them go down. And I thought, there's no better place to race, and it's because they start in the beginning of the week, and Dodge would put on the Mopar Mile-High event down in Golden, and they just really brought in the community and made you feel like, even if you weren't a racer, that you were racing and you were part of A, the family, or B, the race team. And that's something that I know I'm going to miss. And when I think about the emotions, and we try not to think about the emotions, the one that I have at the very top of my mind is just absolutely grateful. Grateful that we've been able to race here. I've had a lot of luck here. I've been very fortunate with many different teams and crew chiefs that have done their job to get me to a spot to be able to have my most number of wins of any track here. So I hope to really bump up those stats this weekend.